All right, and welcome back to the Paisan Sports Podcast, now presented by Recliner Media. Dante DePlacido, joined as always by Zach Deal of What's the Deal Sports. So I've got to ask, what's the deal with the Kevin Patullo offense? All right, I mean, listen, I'm not here to complain. Like I said last week, it's just something to talk about, right? The team's 8-2, defense looks phenomenal, but what's going on with this offense? It's the same pass plays all the time. They don't throw the ball half the time. They give up on any third and long. And right now they're scoring like 13 points per game. What's going on?
Honestly, I'm trying to ask you what's the deal with you had this condescending now presented by Recliner Media as if it was like a bad thing or it was like out of
Huh?
spite.
No. What are you
No, I
talking
know,
about?
I'm just messing with you, but that's just
Huh.
how it came up with your
I don't know.
tone.
I just enjoy saying it fast, like I'm
No, that's
listening
what
to
I
three
realized when
pages of
I
a
was letting it
prescription
digest, but the way
medicine
you
for
said
some
it was like,
reason.
oh, I was just messing with you, but yeah, this
I think
offense
I think I
just
started doing that because when we first started working with what was known as Elevation 5280 Sports, I kept forgetting to include that in the beginning. So I
yeah, you
started
did it
doing it
like the
like
first five
quickly as like
episodes in a
a
row.
little goof, just like as like a joke of like I'm slipping it in there because I kept forgetting. So it's kind of just stuck.
Honestly, you've dried out the "What's the deal" segment without doing the impression. You brought it back
I
for
do it
when we had Matt
sometimes.
on.
I do it sometimes. It depends on my mood. It depends on what's the deal is. But anyway, let's talk about this Patullo offense.
What do you think the issue is?
I'll tell you exactly what I think the issue is. And I'm not going to say I agree with it, but I think what's happening is, to me, it's no coincidence that the two worst offensive performances by far have taken place when the defense has given in the two games the defense has given up less than 10 points. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think when the Eagles have the lead, Kevin Patullo calls the plays extremely, extremely conservatively. So I think basically the offense puts out the same amount of performance as the opposing offense, right? I mean, you look at the games against the Vikings. You look at the game against the Vikings, right? Defense didn't do the best, but the offense poured it on and won the game. And then you look at the game against the Rams; they were getting destroyed at halftime, so the offense came out firing in the second half and won. I think that's Kevin Patullo. He's just unless the Eagles are down, he's going to call it extremely conservatively. And when the Eagles defense only gives up 7 or fewer points or what have you, then he's just going to stick around that 10-point win, around that 10-point total with a winning margin. So I'm not saying I
I think the
agree with
Eagles
that.
have
I don't think that's the formula. I don't think that should be the formula, but I think that is what's happening with the offense.
I think last year we seen them blow out a couple teams. Wasn't really anything like the Super Bowl, the original Super Bowl run with Nick Sirianni in 22, where they were blowing out pretty much everybody. But I feel like the Eagles, just as a team in general, not even just with anything to do with Kevin Patullo himself, they just have, it's not like they don't always keep their foot on the gas as much as they probably should, as good of a team they are. As in, they kind of just let teams hang around because they're comfortable with the spots that they put themselves in, but also they sometimes have to dig out of the dirt to get themselves out of a bad situation. And like the past couple weeks, not converting on fourth down and giving the team another possession, even though it's not the most favorable position for that team, but for that situation to even happen at all. Just kind of shows that in itself, where if they put their foot on the gas a little bit more, then they could have a more comfortable lead. But I feel like they've been doing that pretty much every year under Nick Sirianni, with that they've been successful since, or besides, I should say, the 2022 Super Bowl year, where they pretty much blew everybody out. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is with another offensive coordinator, and he's bringing another Eagles team to a ridiculous record. I mean, under Nick Sirianni's, what, 50-14 as a starter, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's like Tom Brady like numbers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Also,
and in terms
also,
of
also, we have to be honest with ourselves too. You know how I am, how I like. I'm just a fan of football in general. I love the Eagles. Obviously, that's my favorite team, and that's the team that I talk about to get paid for the podcast. But just in general, being a football fan, I mean, we're talking about them not scoring that many points. What, 26 points total the last 2 weeks. They're also playing against two of probably the six best teams in the entire NFL.
yeah, they've had an absolute gauntlet of a
So we
schedule.
have to take that into account, is what
And
I'm saying.
yeah,
It's
and
like
I
we
was
can't just like
looking at
say they're not
I
scoring all these points, or like it's kind of like the same thing. It's like it kind of reminds me of like the boredom of like the MVP, like when LeBron was at his height, like in the NBA, and kind of like other elements like the Warriors at their height of the powers. Like you get bored of like the greatness and how good they are. Like, oh, they just won again, but they have LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. They only won by 5 points. Like it doesn't matter. They're on a 23 game winning streak. You know, like why does any of that matter? Why does it matter how you get the job done at the end of the day? That's why you see like the analysts that really know what they're talking about that defend Jalen Hurts. I mean, from a day-to-day product, it's not the prettiest thing out there. But when you look at the resume as a whole and you're talking about like taking a guy to start a franchise, when people talk about having a guy for one game, I mean, he puts himself in the conversation, Jalen Hurts does, based off of his performances in big games, like the 2 Super Bowl performances he's had, and just how he's performed in the playoffs in general and in other big spots. But when you talk about like the long view of like who would you want to start a franchise with, I mean, let's do the math. I mean, I'm pretty good at math, but I wouldn't say I can do 50 divided by 64 off the top of my head. But I mean, what? That's a 78% winning percentage he's had as the Eagles
yeah,
starter. And I know that doesn't really
maybe even better than that.
well, I just did
Um,
like the calculator math off the top of my head or on my phone, but at the end of the day, that
yeah,
doesn't really even answer your question about Kevin Patullo, what's going on with this offense. It's just that kind of just shows the way that I pivoted off of what you asked, because I still believe in our quarterback and Jalen Hurts,
oh yeah,
and that's the guy
absolutely.
that's going to be
Listen,
riding the way.
here's the
And
thing.
what I mentioned in the beginning, real quickly, what I mentioned in the beginning is the keynote, how many offensive coordinators he's had. So even with the issues with Kevin Patullo, I mean, I know how 2023 ended with Brian Johnson, but I mean, we weren't switching coordinators. I mean, I hope that we don't have any expectation of switching coordinators mid-year like we did going into that Seattle game that year, and then everything completely crumbled. But that's also the year where we got Eli Ricks out there trying to play corner. We have no defensive backs, you know what I mean? So that was a whole entirely different situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just believe in the talent that we have on this roster. And as long as the defense can play the way that they're playing, which I think they're capable of with the resources and the amount of people they have back from injury now, the offense just needs to get up to speed. And I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to be in a situation where, oh, they need to just turn it on whenever. But I believe in an offense that has Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and even guys like in the background like Jahan Dotson to be able to turn it on and make plays when need be.
Yeah, so for one, notice how I said what's the deal with the Kevin Patullo offense, right? I don't have a single negative thing to say about Jalen Hurts. He's been fantastic. He is fantastic, right? And
Real
I
quickly
say
to
the Kevin
interject,
Patullo,
I'm not completely dry of criticism from Jalen Hurts, but I think people overly criticize him.
yeah, like right now the issue is obviously Kevin Patullo, right? It clearly is. You look at the resume of Jalen Hurts. Hell, you even look at the stats of Jalen Hurts on this season: 16 passing touchdowns to just 1 interception. He's been great.
All right, so let's get back to your question real quick, because I feel like we keep. I usually do this, and I'm the catalyst for this because I always take us off topic. But to answer this question, let's put it this way. This kind of has to do with Kevin Patullo, can maybe answer the question about Kevin Patullo's offense. So you get mad when, and a lot of Eagles fans do too, and I get mad in certain spots when they do it, when they practically punt the downs and they run the draw on 3rd and 14. But if they're in
that's
field goal
what I
position,
said during my what's the deal? How they just give up on
I know,
third
but
and
this
one.
is what I'm gonna get to it here. So But if they're in field goal possession to preserve points, it makes sense instead of like accidentally throwing a pick, even though we've just mentioned Jalen Hurts has only thrown one interception this entire year. But with that being said, do you get mad when they make decisions like, why are you going for it on 4th and like 3 and putting your defense in a bad spot? Or do you more so see it as, I'd rather them be aggressive, and that's the mindset? And we talked about last podcast, that's the identity that they had under both coaches in Eagles history that have won Super Bowls, is that aggressive mindset. Do you like more so, oh, the defense is playing so well, I can take this risk and be more aggressive on 4th down like that because I know my defense will back it up? Like, which way do you want them to be?
Well,
Or would you rather them be?
Well, for one, right, whether you go for it on 4th down or not, that's the call of the head coach, not the offensive coordinator.
Well, that's why I referenced Nick Sirianni when I was saying that question about like the aggressiveness, because that's his decision.
And the other thing too is like, I don't mind if you're like at the opposing 40 and it's 4th and 3 and you go for it. I like that style of aggressive. I don't like what they did a couple games ago where they had to do with the game away and they went for it on 4th and 3 and then almost gave the Packers a chance to send it to overtime. I don't like that, but I do like them just generally being aggressive on 4th down. I also didn't like when they decided to push it in their own territory against the Lions this past Sunday night, when punting it would have made a lot more sense. You know, I don't like decisions such as that where it's like a late game decision. Do you go for it here? Do you kick the field goal? Do you punt it? It seems like they're making those sort of wrong decisions, but just like,
do you want more consistent? Do you want more aggressive
and going for the touchdown instead of kicking field goals throughout the game rather than critical situations and being overly aggressive? That I like. I just don't like the overly aggressive and critical.
Are you just not okay with how aggressive they are and how consistently aggressive they are? Because they pretty much do it all the time. Like,
well, this past 2 weeks, it's been worse than ever. We haven't seen anything like this before in the past 2 weeks. This has been unprecedented behavior. And I hope.
Well, I feel like these specific situations, their 3rd down percentage. I mean, they're the best red zone offensive team in the entire NFL,
and that's what I mean. And that's what I'm talking about, right? It's like if it's like the 3rd quarter and it's 4th and 3, and you know you're looking to get end zone, then yeah, go for it. I don't care. I just don't like where it's like late in the game. You know, you could punt and that would basically end it, or you could kick a field goal and that would basically end it, and instead you decide to go for it, right? I don't like that. I like being aggressive throughout the game, however.
Yeah, sometimes I guess they're a little bit too aggressive. I mean, for a team that is that consistently aggressive, it is pretty crazy that they lead the league in fewest turnovers in the entire NFL. So, I mean, that's a plus side. They're also getting turnovers as well. I mean, Coop got his first official regular season. I mean, that's why I hate the stats are so jagged. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like playoff stats don't count because, like, if playoff stats did count, you know, we would think about players like it's how we talked about the NBA before, where the MVP award should be for the playoffs and the regular season, because that really determines who the most valuable player was of like any sport. Basketball is like how you determine that award is like someone's run throughout the entire regular season and playoffs. Like Kawhi Leonard would have won an MVP if it was like 2019 when he went on that run. But the Eagles are getting a little bit more turnovers. I mean, Jalen Phillips is still that dude.
I'm looking at it right now, not to cut you off. I'm looking at it right now, and then actually while you're talking, this is a terrific transition to the defense, but I'm looking at it right now. The Eagles are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the NFL in turnover differential, which honestly surprises me. They have a +6 differential. That comes with only 4 turnovers on offense, the 1 interception, 3 fumbles, and 10 takeaways on defense, 6 interceptions and 4 fumble recoveries. Everyone ahead of them on the list has more turnovers on offense. A lot of it is quite a bit more, such as the Steelers and Jaguars being right ahead of them in turnover differential at +8, but they have 10 turnovers on offense. The only outlier really is the Chicago Bears having only 6 total turnovers on offense in the number 1 spot at a whopping plus 16 with 22 takeaways on defense.
Wait. Who leads the league in interceptions?
The Chicago Bears.
No, who? Which player?
Oh, which play? Oh, yeah, you sent me that before, Kevin Byard. But yeah, I mean, very surprising. But yeah, so I mean,
I can't even trip about. Can we for a second? Let's talk about that. On the other teams, like the Sixers now too, like we got into the territory where we can't care about Joel. And I mean, Joel already gave us enough, but Paul George didn't give us shit, and we can't even trip about it anymore. It's just if he comes in and scores 10 points a game and plays a little bit of defense, like, and he makes $55 million a year, who cares? You know what I mean? Like in that vicinity of that, but. The Eagles, I can't even trip about like dudes leaving and having like I don't care.
Well, yeah,
Like,
Kevin Byard was absolutely washed when he was here. You know,
it's just so crazy about like to think about how all
be mad about it. Plus, I like our safety group. But also, this is really funny. All right, so guess which NFL team is last in takeaways on defense and what the number of takeaways they have is.
Isn't it it's the Packers, isn't it?
No. The Packers on defense have a lot of takeaways. They have 13. Oh no, they have 8. They only have 8. But no, there's a team with substantially less takeaways on defense.
I'm not sure.
It's Cowboys, the New York Jets with 1 takeaway.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
They just have 1 fumble recovery.
They're so bad. I can't
believe they've turned the ball over 12 times for
the Bengals.
11 differential.
While we're bringing up random stats around the league, the Bengals are giving up the most points per game in the last 50 years of football.
Really? I mean, that does not surprise me. The Bengals and the Cowboys have by far the worst defenses in the NFL. I don't care how good the Cowboys
we got to give a second because we haven't done this in a while about random NFL stuff. Let's give like a couple minutes to this.
Well, I do have a random NFL topic I want to talk about while we're doing this, but go ahead.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, one top random NFL topic just came off to the top of my head while we're on this specific random subject. What's his name? Myles Garrett has 15 sacks already and is on pace to break the record. And you know what that reminded me of?
What's up?
Where did you know how crazy 2021 NFL season was?
In what regard?
Off the top of your head, do you remember the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl?
In 2021, yeah, that would have been the is that the Rams and Bengals season?
Yeah, that's Jamar's rookie year, but
yeah.
Have you ever looked at the players? I was looking at it the other day because I was looking at like the sack record and all that stuff. Did you ever like see what was going on in the NFL that year? Like you ever look at the stat, like take a step back? I'm trying to find the player stats real quick. So Tom was still playing. You had all the fire quarterbacks still playing. You had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 quarterbacks. If you want to throw Kirk Cousins in there, 9 quarterbacks throw for 33 plus passing touchdowns. That's 9 different quarterbacks, which is a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Tom Brady threw for 5,300 yards.
Damn.
Justin Herbert threw for 5,000. That was also the year that what's his name? Cooper Kupp was 145 receptions, 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson had 1,600 yards. And then that was also the same year TJ Watt broke the sack record.
TJ Watt. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that is...
that all happened in one season.
Yeah, and there weren't many fans in the stands for that season either, which is kind of funny. Some teams were allowed 25% capacity. A lot of teams weren't allowed any fans, so It was a crazy season with a very boring atmosphere. I can never, I don't know about you, but I can never watch sports highlights from like the COVID era where there's just no fans, like NBA bubble highlights or NBA highlights from the following season where there were no fans, or MLB highlights from 2020 where it was just cardboard cutouts. Like I can never watch those highlights. It ruins it for me.
Yeah, I feel you. There was like 17 people with 10 sacks. I feel you because I watch a lot of UFC and it's like the early prelim Apex fights that the UFC like institute itself, and it's like there's literally like nobody there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like,
tough to watch.
You can like hear everything, and but crazy obscure 2021 stat, second in the league in sacks, former Eagles legend. This is
wait.
Let
me guess. Okay, did this guy play on the Eagles before or after this season?
You cut me off. I was going to mention that exact fact that this was before he played for the Eagles.
Before he played for the Eagles, I'm going to say Robert Quinn.
Correct. 18 and a half sacks.
Don't ever fucking test me. I know my shit. Yeah, no, that was the year he was really good. And then when we added him, we thought maybe he could do that again.
Bro, that was when maybe you can do that again. That was literally the next year too, and he just had nothing.
Yeah, it was the next year, but we got him at the deadline where he wasn't performing so far that year. So it was like maybe he can return to that, but he just didn't. So, but the one thing I wanted to talk about, although my random NFL topic, it's not random because it pertains to the Eagles, but it's not about the Eagles directly. I have a question for you, and I kind of feel how you're going to answer this question versus how I feel a lot of other.
Real quickly, we're not going to get wrapped up in it, but what is making you speculate that I would?
Because you don't like to shit on people or teams. You don't.
It depends on who it is.
Well, my question is, right, because currently the Chiefs are what, 5-5, I think it is.
Yeah.
So my question is, if the Chiefs miss the playoffs this year, can we start the conversation of the Philadelphia Eagles ended the Chiefs dynasty?
It depends on what your qualifications are of a dynasty is.
Well, no, what they just had, I would consider a dynasty. I think 3 rings in a short amount of time, that's a dynasty.
Yeah, but I'm saying what is like the nail in the coffin? Because like Brady did what? He went 3-4.
Well, that's what I mean is like, let's say they missed the playoffs this year, but then 2 years from now they win another ring, right? Then looking back on it, we didn't end the Chiefs dynasty. But what I'm saying is if they miss the playoffs this year, which would be the first time since I think before Andy Reid joined the Kansas City Chiefs and Alex Smith was their quarterback, then it's like, as of right now, it appears the Eagles have ended the Chiefs dynasty, right? Like when the game ended, there were people saying that, but it's like, come on, they're going to be right back in the mix next season. But with them missing the playoffs, this could signify the beginning to the end of the Chiefs dynasty. It could not. But I'm wondering.
All right, well, this is what like you're sparking my thought process is like. So Brady goes what 2001, 2002, and 2004, and then loses 2007, and then was it 2008 or 9? He gets that season-ending torn ACL first game of the season.
2010. It was either 20.
It was one of those sandwiched years. So like he wins 3 Super Bowls out of 4 years, gets back to another one a couple years later, loses. They're kind of still in their dynasty window with a lot of the same players. And then what? His torn ACL, does that end the Patriots dynasty for that period of time?
No. Well, no, because then they eventually won another 3.
Well, he lost another Super Bowl after that, 2011, and then he wins all those Super Bowls again.
Yeah, so I would say because it was the same quarterback and head coach, I would say that was all part of the same dynasty, definitely.
Can you take out it? I got a couple of dynasty questions for you. I'm asking for your qualifications, and if I disagree, that's when I'll interject. So, can you take out a dynasty in a conference, interconference, or does it have to be in the league's championship game, as in like AFC, NFC, West versus East? like
What do
that?
you
Like,
mean?
can
I'm a
an
little
NFC
confused
team
by your
take out?
question.
Can an NFC team take out another NFC team's dynasty, or does it have to be in like a Super Bowl situation? What made
Hmm.
me think of that is because
Hmm.
Brady was also going against like Peyton in that prime, and Peyton got him a couple times in the playoffs, and like it's Peyton Manning though. That's goes back to the thing of like the Eagles only scoring 26 points, but it's versus the Packers and the Lions, two of the
Yeah,
best
I
teams
would
in the
say no.
NFL. Like,
I would say a dynasty killing needs to take place in the big game. I would say that. Yeah. But I'm not firm on that, but I would say so.
I'm trying to think of an example that we could use.
Well, I will tell you one thing. I think I talked about this after we won the Super Bowl. The Eagles have really had a habit of taking down dynasties in the big game, right? Now, not to say they ended the Patriots dynasty. However, if Alshon Jeffrey would have caught the ball, maybe they officially would have. But they beat Brady in the Super Bowl. They beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl, which, by the way, does not get talked about enough. That is absurd. They're obviously the only team to do that, and I think that will remain until the end of time because I can't see the Giants ever beating Mahomes in the Super Bowl. But on top of that, they were the only team to beat Vince Lombardi in the playoffs when they won the 1960 NFC Championship game. So, I mean, to have that resume of being the only team to beat Lombardi in the playoffs and beating Brady and Mahomes in the Super Bowl, it's just ridiculous, and it does not get talked about enough.
Well, I was going to look at it from the other perspective. Those are known things, but a little deeper. I mean, they beat what literally the three greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah, Belichick, Lombardi, and Reed. And the other thing too is what is interesting, and this might also stand for the Packers. I don't know. I would have to check. Is when they beat the Patriots and when they beat the Chiefs, they had previously lost to them and then eventually saw them again in the Super Bowl and won. I don't know if they had seen the Packers in the playoffs before 1960. I kind of want to check on that, actually. While I check on that, I think we need to start talking about this defense now.
Well, real quickly, who ended the Patriots dynasty? Because Tom Brady's last pass as a New England Patriot was a pick six to his former teammate, and that's when the Titans beat them in the playoffs and went to the AFC Championship. And he threw a pick six as the last.
I don't think anyone really ended that dynasty. I think honestly, even though they won the Super Bowl against the
Well,
Rams,
that's like now we can open up another podcast of 3 hours. Is it the Tom Brady dynasty or is it the New England Patriots dynasty? And then you go into is it
let's
LeBron?
not.
I know,
Not
but
get
then you
caught
start
up
asking the
in
question: is it LeBron's dynasty or is it the Cavs, the Heats, and the Lakers? I mean, the Lakers are their own dynasty itself, but the Cavs and the Heat, who don't have any success relatively outside of him being there. So those are like
Wait,
the
hold on.
dynasty question could get crazy.
Hold on a second. This is something I never realized. When the Eagles won the championship in 1960, the last time they were in the playoffs before that was when they won in 1949. So they didn't make the playoffs at all in the 1950s. I never knew that. Okay, so they didn't face Lombardi in the playoffs. I don't think Lombardi dates back to the 40s. Does he? I don't think so.
I'm not exactly sure the exact date. I just know he dominated that specific era. But
Let's see.
defensive
Vince
wise,
Lombardi was a head coach for the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, from 1959 to 1967. Okay, so yeah, they never saw Lombardi in the playoffs before that. That would be pretty cool if they had lost to Lombardi before that, because it would just add to the thing with Brady and Mahomes. But to talk about this defense, man, we talked about last week, Jalen Phillips, hell of a debut, and he really continued it on Sunday night against the Lions. I think the two biggest stars of the defense on Sunday night, however, was Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean.
yeah, Nakobe Dean's playing ball. There was like a 3-play sequence where he just absolutely just wrecked the entire drive, and he's just a havoc wreaker. And I was telling you about him having more sacks than Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis combined the 1 year when they were all at Georgia, and he still can rush the passer. The size isn't an issue. The athleticism isn't an issue. I mean, I'm not going to say the injury concerns, which was the original thing about him, why he dropped in the draft, and a little bit of the size as well, aren't a concern because he just does get banged up. But I mean, he had a pretty serious knee injury, but he's a hell of a player. And Jalen Carter is looking like he's improving each week and getting back to his form. And then Jordan Davis, Jordan Davis, I think, is the first player in the history of the NFL to win Special Teams Player of the Week and Defensive Player in the Week in one season.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's like one of those stats where it's not let me phrase it like this. It's not one of those stats where you see that and you're like, oh wow, I'm surprised that's never happened before. No, I'm not shocked at all. I mean, that's crazy. Special teams and defense.
I actually am surprised because I feel like as a defensive back, you can get a couple picks, a pick six, and like a punt return touchdown. You'd easily.
I would say maybe Brian Dawkins for the quadrifecta game. He probably could have won special teams and defensive player of the week the same week.
Well, do you remember when Patrick Peterson first came in the league?
Oh yeah, he was a demon on punt return.
He was great,
yeah,
and he made this Pro Bowl like the first 8 years of his career. And remember we were supposed to trade for him in the height of his prime, like that was around that time. It's so funny because isn't 2018 Eagles and 2023 Eagles like that's like the mirror image seasons, and it was like the Super Bowl next year. And I just hope that this season doesn't play out that way. But I think our defense has gotten to the point where we're making fun of. I mean, you know how I've always defended Patrick Mahomes, but a lot of the national people kind of try to downplay Patrick Mahomes' powers, and you know how I still think he's the best player in the league times a lot. But how everybody said the Chiefs pivoted to a defensive team, it kind of seems like even with the talent and the players that the Eagles possess on offense, that they are actually transitioning to being led by these young defensive stars.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, outside of BG, it's a young defense. It really is. I was looking at it, the free agents they have coming up this offseason. I think it's Jalen Phillips, Reed Blankenship, and maybe
you know it's so crazy. I feel like Nakobe Dean is like the
Eagles, it is. Like, it is. Nakobe Dean's the third. So here's
Nakobe Dean's like the Eagles like Ranger Suarez, because at the end of the day he's really good and important to them. But that position that he plays for his specific team is already loaded, and he is expendable in that sense.
Yeah,
so it's kind of scary what could happen.
It is unfortunate that he's expendable. That's why, as much as I really want to keep Nakobe Dean, I would say out of those three, if you're going to keep two of them, keep Reed Blankenship and Jalen Phillips. But I will say part of the reason I want to keep Reed Blankenship is because we can't split up the exciting whites. We just can't. They have a podcast together. We can't ruin that for them. And we do have Jihad Campbell. So
Reed Blankenship's not going to command that much money compared to like you got to pay Jordan Davis soon too. Yeah. So and Jordan Davis is playing himself into like 25 to 30 mil. Like he's playing himself close to the contract that we thought Jalen Carter was going to get, and we don't even know what that was something that I thought about briefly a couple weekends ago when I was watching the Eagles when he was like really in the height of his slumps. Like I was really starting to wonder if Jalen Carter's going to earn himself a second contract with the Eagles.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
You can't literally pay every single person though, and I feel like
Howie's got to find a way. And listen, I know they can't pay every single person, right? Which is why I think out of the three guys on defense this year, at least one of them walks. And that's how it's going to be every year. But the most important guys, I think they're going to stay.
Well, if you have if you have all these pass rushers and all these defensive linemen that make the most amount of money in the league on the defensive side of the ball, and you got like two premier defensive backs that are going to cross bread, I mean, at the end of the day, with all these people on the team, I honestly think if it came down to it, I think Coop and Q is the first two people they would pay out of every single person on the defense.
Well, that was also what I wanted to talk about in regards to this past game on Sunday night. Now, it feels like I'm beating a dead horse because he just does this every week. But Quinyon Mitchell, I think this might have been the best performance of his career to this point. He didn't allow a single catch facing Amon-Ra St. Brown the entire game. So, I mean, what a performance it was from Quinyon Mitchell. He's definitely a top 3 corner in the NFL right now.
Okay, he's balling. And I love his like personality of being like real physical. And I'll just take the penalties when they do come because at the end of the day, that's like his mantra, and that's what makes him special, how physical he is with the receivers. Like he's not only crazy athletic, but he's just like literally so physical with every receiver, and like no one takes him off his game. And then you play with Cooper DeJean, who's also so physical, not in the sense of in coverage itself, because Coop's not the best in coverage man to man by itself, but like what he does as a defensive back in the open field. I mean, having 2 physical guys like that young, I mean, that's why this defense performs the way that they do. And yeah, I'm happy with the entire defense. I mean, Andrew Makuba, we don't really have any criticisms of him because he's just back there gaining experience. And like, I mean, there's times where he does mess up, but there's also times it's just the learning curve of a rookie. But I'm happy that we are incorporating him as our 2nd-round pick. I mean, think about all the years where the Eagles were only netting like 2 good players from their draft classes. Now it's like literally, it's kind of confusing when someone that drafted in the first 5 rounds of the draft didn't work or doesn't work for them. Like we were kind of dumbfounded a little bit about Aeneas Smith. And that was like one of the only whiffs recently that they had. And he was like a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, and who knows what Johnny Wilson would be up to right now if he didn't get hurt. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that story's not even completely written
Who knows
yet.
what Will Shipley would be up to right now if he didn't get hurt, causing the Eagles to sign Tank Bigsby, who would eventually take reps away from him. You know, if he didn't get hurt and they don't sign Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley's getting reps right now. By the way, Tank Bigsby needs more carries. I mean, it seems like every game he's breaking.
Well, they traded for Tank Bigsby.
Trade for, sign him. Potato, you know what I mean. But he needs.
Well, there's
he
more
needs
effort going
touches.
out and trading for somebody because that's addressing an issue.
He needs more touch. He needs more touches. Absolutely. The other thing I did want to talk about all the 4th down stops from this game, but before we talk about that, just on the topic you're on, looking at the 2025 Eagles draft class, I mean, in terms of production right now, it's just Jahad Campbell and Andrew Makuba. Now, in terms of potential for the future, I think Smile Munden has a lot of potential. I think Ty Robinson, maybe Mac McWilliams, Kyle McCord has the potential to be a great backup, I think, although we haven't seen a lot of great stuff out of him so far. But Ty Robinson, though, I mean, I think we all thought he would be making a much bigger impact by this point. We never even see him on the field.
I just thought about how we have yet to, in regular season talk, your boy, we haven't even mentioned his name. I don't even want to say his name because we haven't even mentioned it. We're going to keep it that way until we have to say it because we're not going to jinx the podcast. So,
okay, yeah, I don't even know who you're talking about. But yeah, let's talk about all those 4th down stops, man. 5 4th down stops in one game. I don't know about you, but by the time the Lions were going for it on 4th down for like the 4th time, I had all the confidence in the world for those 4th and 5th times that the Eagles defense was.
Dude, it's someone else that steps up like every time. It's like they need a blocked kick, so let's put the 6'6" dude in there to block the kick. A team's going to run the same play they've ran 5 times. Let's put in our like 2nd, 3rd string defensive tackle and have him call the play out to everybody, and then have like 5 dudes tackle the dude in the backfield for a loss. I mean, I don't even know what to really even say about the team. Like, I didn't know if I could ever trust a defense this young that only had like one true vet on it. That's why I was kind of like holding on and latching on to like keeping Darius Slay, because like at the end of the day, I'm just like, can they really overcome it? And I know there's been like growing pains with having a Dory Jackson out there who's like the other vet with Zach Bond, and he's just not that great of a player anymore, and they've just had other issues that they have tried to address with corner. But at the end of the day, I just never knew that we could trust a defense that's this young to be this mature and get them out of such like tight quarter situations, and they just consistently do it. And I believe in them to do it every single time too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, and also think about it. You know, going back to the week prior, they won that game on a huge 4th down stop. So they are at least 6 for 6 in their last 4th down stop attempts, which is just absolutely insane. I don't know The last time somebody went for it on fourth down against us before that stop against the Packers, if we stopped them or not, I don't know how
I
far
think they're
back.
holding quarterbacks to what, like 56 or 57% completion percentage. And Jared Goff had like one of the highest completion percentage in the entire NFL, and he was kind of throwing the ball all over the place, and the pass rush was really getting after him. You see what a good pass rush can do. I mean, the Bills were heavy favorites last night.
Moro Domo is another guy I want to talk about. He's playing really well now. He's really gotten it going.
You know who else is top 5 in a stat category in the entire NFL? Another former Eagles legend.
Josh what?
No.
Milton Williams.
No. That'd be crazy if 2 defensive linemen were in the top 5 tackles in the NFL.
Are you talking about top 5 tackles in the NFL? You just said that. Top 5 tackles in the NFL.
Eagles legend on the roster last year.
On the roster last year, it's not Gardner Johnson because he's missed most of the year, just bouncing.
Gardner Johnson had 2 sacks a week ago. 2 weeks ago. Had 2 sacks.
No, he had a big game, but he didn't play most of the season. On the team last year,
you're thinking so hard. You're thinking so hard about him. You're thinking so hard about him.
What is it, Slay?
No, you're gonna get so mad. You just said it and you didn't do it. You're gonna get mad at yourself.
Wait, I already said his name.
You already pretty much you were getting to it, and then you kind of drifted off.
Well, I said we didn't let any linebackers go, and we didn't let any safeties go, unless you're to tell me, what's his name? Kavon Wallace is top 5 in the league.
No, did we let any linebackers go?
Oh, Oren Burks.
Did we let any linebackers go?
Is it Oren Burks?
Did we let any linebackers go not named Oren Burks?
Not named Oren Burks. Who the fuck else left from the linebacker room?
What
college did he play at?
Oh, dude. Dude, he was this is just going to give it away. And I can't believe it, man. You're just overthinking it so hard. He played with Joe Burrow in college.
Played with Joe Burrow.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson.
At LSU.
Was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Top 5 pick, and then okay. So, and then he found his way to us. Oh, is it Devin White?
Yeah, he's top 5 in tackle.
Really?
Yes.
I did not. God damn. Okay, well, that makes me more upset than the Kevin Byard thing, although we do have great linebackers. But
do we just need to band them back together and just put them out there? But it's in 2 spots that don't matter to us, though. So, like, if Sly had the most picks in the league, that's when it would matter because our cornerback 2 sucks. You know what I mean? And everybody was saying, like, Adoree Jackson had a great game. Like, he didn't get exposed, but he did get exposed on the 1 touchdown the Lions did have. The Jamison Williams got completely exposed. But, I mean, I guess that's a story for another day. But I'm still not comfortable and happy with him. But I'm happy with the overall defense and that they're able to mask things like that. Hopefully, Michael Carter can get out there and show what he can do. I mean, the Jairo Alexander is obviously a pipe dream. That's never happening. But I do feel good about the defense. And like I said, I feel like they have a guy for every.
Devin White's PFF grade is only 45.
Yeah, but PFF also is not the Bible. I hate when people act like PFF is the Bible, too. It's not the Bible.
Well, no, I'm not. But here's the thing, too, is I think for linebackers, total tackles can be a misleading stat because if you're on a team with a bad defense or a bad offense, then you're just out on the field a ton. So you're seeing a lot more reps on defense and you're getting a lot more tackles. So that's why I feel like total tackles can just be a misleading stat for linebacker. So if it's a guy that I don't watch play, I'm going to take account his tackles. I'm going to take account his PFF grade. I'm going to try and piece together.
Well, Tyrese Maxey plays 41 minutes a night pretty much, and he's 3rd in the league in points. So does that make him?
That's entirely different. That's very, very different. That's a whole different thing.
Not really, because there's a lot of guys.
I'll tell you what, though, that is a good transition. So before we do talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, it's time for my meatball of the week. You look like you were about to do like a sound effect or something.
How'd you?
Because you were doing sound effects before we went live, so I thought maybe you had something up your sleeve.
I was trying to, and then you just ruined it. So I just
Wait, do we still have that audio I put together for the meatball of the week years ago?
Yeah, I
Is
might
that
be
what you're
able
trying
to.
to play?
No, but let me
Oh,
see. I might be able to pull some
well,
strings real quickly.
we gotta find that again. That's a great audio. It might still be in my Google Drive. Anyway, while Zach is trying to figure that out, it's time for my meatball of the week. And this is one of the few occasions where my meatball of the week is not sports related. Now, that could either be because it was one gigantic ball. It could
Hold
be
on,
because
pause. Let's see if we can load it up. Let's see. I think I might have got us back to square one here.
all right, yeah, there we go. That's the
I
stuff,
brought the
man.
energy up.
That's the
That's the
stuff. And I'll tell you
gabagool.
what, fantastic job by me on that audio. Fantastic job.
Wow, I thought you were about to say fantastic job on me for finding that, and you just completely bent the corner on me
Yeah.
so hard.
Also,
Like,
fantastic job by you finding it. But I was just reminded of my greatness with audio skills by hearing that again. It's such a good audio.
I might have the Manscaped commercials on there too. So reach out to Manscaped, see if put us
Oh,
on.
dude, my Manscaped commercial was great. Anywho, yeah, so when it's not a sports related meatball, that could either be because there's one gigantic meatball, like the Coldplay concert guy. It could be because there wasn't really that big of a meatball in sports that week. Or it could be a little bit of both. I can't think of a huge meatball in sports. And also, this meatball, I really want to call him out as the meatball because this is just a public figure who I've absolutely despised ever since he was brought to my attention. And I'm glad to see he got arrested. I'm talking about Jack Dorsey.
Oh, hold on.
What?
I wanted a drum roll. You were like setting the scene. I was trying to get you, and then you just went into it too hard when I was trying to interject.
Okay. Anyway,
You said who?
Jack Doherty. Okay. If you don't know who Jack Doherty is just the absolute scum of the earth. For I don't know, the past 7 years, he's filmed very stupid prank videos. Where please stop. Where he just he just goes around bothering people in public and then hides behind his absolutely massive security guard and acts tough. Well, like somebody and then like hide behind his security guard and be like, what are you gonna do? As there's just like this 6'8" black man standing between them. He's just the worst human being. There's a ton of other examples of him just being a horrible person. And he finally got what he had coming to him when he got arrested in Miami for drug possession and resisting arrest. Now, he is currently out on bond, but he is facing a possible 7 years in prison. Hope it happens. We're all hoping it happens. You're the scum of the earth, Jack Doherty, and you're my meatball of the week. You gotta look into this dude.
I've heard of him before. You were painting the scene. I thought you were going to say Antonio Brown. That's what, like I was like,
oh my god, I forgot about.
And then
that.
when I cut you off, when I cut you off, I heard Jack. I thought you were talking about Jackson Mahomes, and I didn't know if he did anything recently or what was going on with him. But
it wouldn't surprise me if there was anything.
But you know who the police need to arrest? Is Tyrese Maxey for what he's doing to these NBA defenses out there.
That's true, man. 54 points last night. How many threes was it? 8, I think.
Yeah, I don't even keep track. I mean, a lot of his shots are threes, but it doesn't really matter.
And two of them were from the logo. From
he's 50 games off of
from way downtown.
Yeah, I wish we had Mark Zumoff still to call these Tyrese Maxey explosions. Wouldn't that be crazy? Pause. Pause.
Okay, 6 made threes. Google has finally updated it so that when you look up the stats from a game,
oh, they show the threes now?
They show they've added field goals made, 3-pointers made, and plus minus.
No, I think that might be the desktop version shows you that. If you do it on your phone, it might still be the same.
No, because I was looking at the stats on my phone after the game ended last night. So, yeah, Tyrese Maxey played 47.
Why do you look at the stats there? ESPN just changed their stat format, too. the players' stats, and it kind of messes me up. But that's my reference point every time, or basketball reference. I use the pro sports reference like basketball, football,
Well,
baseball.
yeah, I look at that to look at season stats, but they don't update the website the day of a game. You gotta look at the next day.
Well, that's like every stat. It's like hard. It's hard to get even the snap counts of that stuff. But
well, I go to Twitter to look at NFL snap counts. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey absolutely went off last night. Got the win in overtime. Another thing about Maxey this season that I think is being overlooked is his assist numbers are way up as well. He's really dishing it out from the point guard position.
yeah, I think he was also the only person to have that many assists in a 50-point game in Sixers history. Four games off of having as many 50-point games in his career as Joel Embiid. And we know Joel can score, but also Joel scored like how many 30-plus point games in his career. But
countless.
Joel hasn't even played recently, and he's not even the talk of it. I mean, it's the transition.
It's Maxey's team now, man. It's Maxey's team now.
And I don't know, like, not even trying to sound homer, but like, there's other guys, and there's a couple dudes on the Hawks who could qualify for this. I mean, Jalen Brunson recently, I felt like was on this ascension too. But like in recent NBA history, which player has like ascended this much and developed this much year by year in recent memory than Tyrese Maxey? I feel like it's like hard to even fathom.
I would say this is kind of the rate that Embiid was developing at.
No, it's not. That's not a comparison. Joel Embiid was the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and he didn't get hurt. He was going to be the number 1 overall pick. This dude was drafted.
You're saying like somebody who was like a late round.
This dude went to Kentucky, and he was a top basketball recruit, but like he was the 20. There's 20 different opportunities for him to get drafted where he wasn't. It's not like the 3rd overall pick, and it's not like Anthony Edwards, who like, yeah, he's pretty good at basketball. Oh shit, Anthony Edwards is like one of the 8 best players in basketball. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was like the 20th. Like, it's like Jalen Brunson. Like, Jalen Brunson was a solid player of Villanova and a really good program. And then, like, wow, Jalen Brunson is one of the 15 best players in basketball now, suddenly. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Tyrese Maxey has been on that ascension level.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're talking about somebody who was a late round pick, somebody who wasn't expected to come in and start balling right away, yeah, I would say. Well,
I feel like it was opportunity too, because I was looking back at his stats to like track him, and like he's been dropping 25 plus for the past like 2 years before this season. But like his rookie year was only playing like 15 minutes, and it was like 8 points. And then I was looking at some of the dudes that were getting minutes over him, and it was such a waste of time. That's like when we had like George Hill getting minutes over him.
I would say
Matisse Thybulle getting minutes over him.
If I can think of a homegrown Philadelphia athlete in recent memory who didn't start off as an absolute demon, but developed into one over a few seasons. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Christopher Sanchez. And I can't really think of anyone else, if I'm being honest. I'm going to say Christopher Sanchez. I mean, I guess Jordan Mailata. Definitely Jordan Mailata. That's another one. I'm going to say Christopher Sanchez and Jordan Mailata as 2 other examples in Philly sports recent years.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, I guess, could be in that category too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he was a 2nd round pick, you know. So I mean, I guess I'm not too sure on your criteria here, but yeah, I mean, going back.
Maxey was one of the top pick. He was one of the 21st picked player in the draft. I mean, there was just 20 opportunities for him to get drafted before then. It wasn't. So, and arguably he's one of the best players, if not the best player from the draft class now. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just special. You have that, then you get a steal on Quentin Grimes. You sign Paul George, what looks like it's a bad contract because you have no pivots, but now you have all this excess of talent where it doesn't really matter. And his like stylistic style of a player is actually a good prototype for them to have on the team, just not making that much money. Joel's not your number 1 priority anymore when he has been for how many years, which led to so much misery because he gets your hopes up because he's so talented as a player, but he can never stay healthy. He's just on the back burner. You still got Jared McCain coming back from injury, getting healthier and not wearing the knee brace. And I felt like Jared McCain was like real clunky out there with that big knee brace. And once he took it off, he started to get a little bit more comfortable. And obviously with Joel out now and Kelly Oubre out, then he has to come in and pick up some of the slack, which he has, and he's been getting progressing better. Like I said, you got that steal on Quentin Grimes. You have the 3rd overall pick in VJ Edgecombe. Dean Bone is a beast. Your backup center's
Well,
playing like a
Andre
top.
Drummond is having. I mean, that's
Your
one of the.
backup center is playing like a top 10 center in the entire NBA. Like you have
He's
all these good things going for you out of
Yeah,
nowhere, and it's
Drummond
like
is having a really, really good year, and it's not being talked about enough. He's
what
averaging
years?
like
What years can we
15
relate
boards
this
or
to
something
where?
crazy.
What years can we relate this to in like other Philadelphia sports teams years where like the pivot from like the darkness of last year to like the light at the end of the tunnel from like the next season quickly changed this quickly? Was it like 2016 Eagles to 2017? Like,
Well, I wouldn't say so because the 2017 Eagles dominated. This team looks promising, but they're not winning a ton of games. So it is tough to think about it from that sense. What team went from really big? You know what? I think I would say the 10-win Sixers team leaping into the Joel Embiid rookie year Sixers that, although had a below 500 record and missed the playoffs, started to look rather promising. I would say I would compare him to that, honestly.
yeah, when you have like have you have the talent like bundled up on the back end, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
you,
really
you
happy
saw
where
a
the Sixers are
terrific
at. Like,
rookie
there's not
year.
like
You saw a
no,
terrific rookie year from Joel Embiid, who a lot of people at that time didn't know how good he was going to be just because he missed the first 2 years with injury. So we really had no idea. And then we saw what he could do on the court, and we knew we had Ben Simmons coming in the next season. So there was a
yeah.
lot of
I was gonna
promise.
say that was probably like the other time I would reference to, but also, like in years past, I feel like you couldn't have conversations about the Sixers where it's like we're not tripping about like Gershon Yabusele not being on the team anymore. Like we're not tripping off of like players that left the team and their success elsewhere because like it's irrelevant to us now. You know what I mean? With where they're at this time with like the team. So I'm just happy in that sense. And also, I feel like you couldn't have conversations for the past couple years about with like not wanting to get rid of this said player, and it's like I don't have any of those
Yeah, no, I really like the
thoughts.
direction this team is headed in. And I think we saw, in terms of how this season is going to play out, I think we saw some very positive signs with how well Paul George looked last night. He looked like he's really starting to return to form last night. And if Paul George can perform anywhere close to how he did in his prime throughout the rest of the season, and Embiid can get back on the court and be at least a little bit healthy, then I think this is a decent playoff team.
I think if VJ and Paul George specifically can perform close to each other's level and like uptick either or, like when one has a down game, the other one upticks and vice versa. And
Yeah.
obviously VJ would have to carry more load. Pause. But
Yeah, what is
DV
you got to stop with all the loads and the busting and whatever
Yo,
you keep
oh, what
talking
was
about.
who was the person you were saying that crazy? Oh, it was literally VJ Edgecombe himself. Yeah, you
Yeah, yeah,
little
yeah,
weirdo.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
when he gets on the court, I start edging.
yeah, you're
Um,
outrageous. But um, I think if like VJ would have to handle more because he's the younger player.
you think
That
you think he's gonna have to handle a big load?
Yeah, exactly. See, I can't even get it out. But if he can just mentor VJ Edgecombe and they just have everything else that they have going on right now, I think they have a formula to at least be a playoff team. And then if you get Joel back to like 80% Joel and he's playing defense, not even like we don't need 30 from Joel anymore. We need 20 from Joel. We
Yeah.
need like 12 from Paul George. We need like
Mhm.
12 from VJ. We need Tyrese scoring
Yep.
25. And I'm almost up to the point where maybe not in the sense of Joel, but when Joel's not in there, would you agree that Quentin Grimes should probably be the second leading scorer every single night behind Tyrese Maxey? When BJ's not like
I
going
wouldn't say
off, when
that. I
BJ's
wouldn't
not
say
going
that.
off.
I would say because we have such like a mixed bag of guys that can score, I don't think it should be any one guy. You have Quentin Grimes, you have Joel Embiid, you have Paul George, you have
Yeah, but
VJ
he arguably
Edgecombe.
has the most off besides Joel and Tyrese, he has the most offensive game out of every single one of those players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say so. But you also have Kelly Oubre and you have VJ Edgecombe if he gets back over that rookie wall. There's just so many different guys that could end up being the second leading scorer on a given day that I don't think it needs to be one specific guy. But I would say as of right now, besides Joel Embiid, Quentin Grimes is the next best scorer on the roster outside of
They
Tyrese
have good
Maxey.
defense too, and so does Kelly. So they have
And he can create his own shot. I mean, you saw
all of our we went from having like Matisse Thybulle as like the only good perimeter defender besides Ben Simmons, but he was also like playing 1 through 5, so it was kind of hard like to pinpoint him, even though he was mainly on ball defender but could cover 1 through 5. But like now we got like a bunch of 2s and 3s that can actually guard the perimeter and are actually athletic too, which is like something the Sixers haven't had in forever. So I'm really happy. And if we look at like the standings and the competition, I know it's early in the season, but even with like Tyrese Halliburton being out and Jason Tatum being out and some of the injuries to some of the bigger name stars in the East itself, I feel like it's good, valuable experience that the rookies are getting and the young players are getting, building reform with each other in these times for when those guys come back and, you know, they're a couple years into their career. Like this team could be a serious team, like as soon as probably next year.
Yeah, I mean, well, they have the potential to do it this year, honestly. I mean, I think
I believe so too. I just don't want to go that far yet, but I'm not going to make the promise that VJ Edgecombe made.
I don't think the jury's out on this team just yet. I mean, if Joel Embiid can stay on the court, and if Paul George returns back to form, and if Kelly Oubre can come back, and if Jared McCain can pick up where he left off last season, then that's just an absurd amount of talent, and that's a team that can make a legitimate run. So I don't think it's out of the question that this team this year still has a chance to compete.
Like, I'm not afraid of the Knicks at all anymore.
And that's the other thing too, is the East is wide open this year. It's wide open. So I think, I think
you know who's number 1 and number 2?
What's that?
You know who's number 1 and number 2 in the East standings? I knew this was coming. I'm going to tell you, I knew this was coming.
And are the Cavs one of them?
No.
I don't pay much attention to the rest of the league, if I'm being
honest. This is going to shock you. This is why I wanted to bring it up, because I knew you specifically haven't seen this. So I knew this team was going to be good. I mean, it's only 15 games in.
I know they started off hot.
Nah, they're behind the Sixers now, and the Sixers are at 6. But the Raptors with Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and what's his name from Duke, RJ Barrett, are second in the East, 10-5. The Pistons are 13-2.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, I knew they were doing really well this year, but 13-2 surprises me. That's crazy.
13-2, and they lost the first game of the season to the Bulls, and then to the Cavs. Dude, the Pistons are on a 11-game winning streak right now.
What is the current NBA Cup group standings?
Well, the Sixers are off tonight, so they're not in the mix.
They're 0-2. All right. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Sixers in terms of the NBA Cup.
Do we celebrate the Sixers Cup championship?
What's that?
Do we celebrate a Sixers Cup championship?
If they win the NBA Cup? When you say celebrate, what do you mean exactly?
Like popping like they're greasing poles up and we're getting crazy?
No. It's something to acknowledge, but no, there's no party on Broad Street or parade for that. Anyway, before we get out of here, because I do have to run soon, I think now we should talk a little bit about the Phillies and then head out of here.
The Phillies. Kyle Schwarber denied that qualifying offer, so he will be a free agent. I've heard a couple teams rumored for him.
We've talked about this, haven't we?
No, we talked about how he got extended it, but we never talked. He denied it. So did Ranger. So.
We talked about Bader denying it. That's right. Now I remember.
Yeah, but we also talked about them opening up that window. Crawford's supposed to be in the outfield next year as well, so we'll see what's going on with that. We'll see if they're going to be able to. Another topic we mentioned, didn't get too in-depthly about it, but if Ranger leaves, I guess that just automatically opens up the spot for Andrew Painter to come right into the rotation. Is that how we look at it?
Sorry, repeat that question again.
Andrew Painter right into the rotation if Ranger leaves? Is that a variable that we're not like thinking too deeply into? Like, we love Ranger, but like with Andrew Painter on the back burner, is it really the time? But it's a righty and a lefty, so it's not as comparable as it would be ideally.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I don't care about that as much with starting rotations as I do with the bullpen. So, I mean, I love Ranger, and I hope we keep him because he's that good. But I would be excited to see Andrew Painter finally get
I
the
got a curveball for you here. Does Ranger going back to the Phillies or leaving the Phillies affect Taijuan Walker's status as a Philly for this upcoming season at all?
I forgot all about Taiwan Walker, although he did play well last season.
That'd open up a
Um,
nice chunk of money too if we can get out of there. He was a lot more willing to do things and take on roles this year than he was in previous years, but they obviously didn't want to open up that can of worms in the playoffs, and obviously with other guys like Montgomery too. I kind of feel like a sleeper thing. I feel like the Phillies might go after one of these big bullpen arms, like one of the big boy bullpen arms.
am I crazy or I could be wrong? But is Edwin Diaz a free agent?
Yeah.
That would be nuts, dude. Edwin
So's
Diaz
so's
and Duran in the same bullpen. That would be wild.
who's the other dude? There's the other gigantic reliever that's out there too. Um, did you see the trade in the MLB?
No,
The one for one trade the other day?
no, no.
It was a solid trade. I feel like this is a dude I love his game. Taylor Ward got traded for Grayson Grayson Rodriguez, Baltimore.
I always get
Angels.
Taylor Ward and Tyler Ward confused. Which one is Taylor?
Taylor Ward's the outfielder that hits like 25 home runs a year and hits like 80 RBIs and bats
Okay,
like
so not
60.
Tyler Ward, not Tyler Ward then.
Yeah, he's the teammate
Well,
of.
I'm thinking Tyler Wade. That's what his name
Yeah, I
is.
was gonna say Tyler Wade.
Plays for the Athletics. Yeah, yeah. So
What do you think they do in the off season?
what do they do? The Phillies, dude. I mean, we talked about this when the season ended, right? I want them to switch things.
Well, now
up.
we're seeing some of the moves.
I don't want them to make any moves just for the sake of making a move. I want the moves to make sense, but I do want them to switch things up. So, and it sounds like Castellanos is gone no matter what, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I guess he's just kind of expendable with that contract, and it just is what it is. I mean,
it sounds like they're trying to trade him, but they can't really find a possible suitor to take on that contract. But like the thing too is, it's only a 1-year deal. I mean,
dude, I feel like on the back end, if they really need to get rid of it, depending on, I feel like this isn't a move like the Yankees would do in the beginning of free agency. But if they're looking for a bat that can just like add some pop to the back end of their lineup, I feel like a team like that would swoop in. Like an established team. No random teams just taking on Nick Castellanos, but like a team that just needs an extra bat and has money to throw around like that.
If you're like a young team that's looking ready to compete and you're a young team, so you're not spending a lot of money at the moment and you just want to bring
or you're just flat out ass and you're trying not to get like a generational player to leave your team, probably the Pittsburgh Pirates will be on anybody that can hit over 250.
That's not a terrible idea for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah.
They're apparently in on Kyle Schwarber.
Like, because I mean, like realistically, if you're the Phillies, you're taking anybody in return for Nick Castellanos. If somebody offers you like the number 20, like the number 30 prospect at pitcher in the organization, you're like, sure.
Nah, I get what you're saying. I like Nick Castellanos a little bit more than you do. I still think he provides talent.
Very much like
but I would take like
at this point you gotta just take whatever is offered.
I would take any solid bullpen arm for him straight up.
I don't think they're going to get any MLB level talent in return.
I would want more so. I think they need to flip that into something that they can use for now. But there is some pretty good free agents out there. They need to make a couple little subtle moves. But, I mean, we talked about, in my opinion, figuring out what's going on with Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott is going to actually, like, see where they can make these other moves. But I want JT back on the team. I think I want JT back the most out of everybody.
I want him back just because they don't really have anyone else to play at catcher. But I know you want him back more than I do because when I sent you the possibility of us acquiring Adley Rutschman, you said no, JT. I would easily.
Dude, Adley Rutschman never plays.
I would take him over JT.
Dude, Adley Rutschman's literally Anthony Davis, bro, a baseball player. He's literally never plays. Like, When was it like?
I would.
I
I'd
think he's a
take. I would
phenomenal
rather
player.
take him on the roster
He was
next
like
year
the
than
most
this
hyped
year.
up prospect in baseball like 3 years ago.
And he looked really promising a couple of years ago. In what 2023 it was. So he's still young. Yeah, give me Adley Rutschman.
I don't know. I felt like this.
Let's
I
see if
guess this
we
season.
let's see if he can stay healthy rather than
Well, he
giving
missed
old
like
man
literally half
jig
the
to
season
him
this year.
who's
Maybe I
always
was a
going to be
little
the
bit
one
too
spot.
harsh on him. But last year he wasn't the same player that he was.
No, last
He's a
year he
switch
wasn't.
hitter,
But yeah,
but
the year before that played 148 games. The year before that 154. No, give me Adley
well,
Rutschman.
dude, for some we haven't like been in the territory of like the Phillies. We've talked about guys that can help them right now at the trade deadline and what we would give up and like Luis Robert, but like Adley Rutschman is like better than Luis Robert by a lot, in my opinion. A lot. Byron Buxton's been a name that keeps coming up, but like for a guy like Adley Rutschman, who's like 27, like how old is he? He's 27 right now. A guy that young, that's that good. Like, are you willing? Like, what type of prospects would you give up for him? Like a guy like that. It's not like for a Kyle Tucker like type player. Not like we're not talking about like Eugenio Suarez at the deadline, who's a phenomenal player, but like, he's 33, 34 years old, hits a bunch of home runs. We're talking about like one of the best players at his position. That's one of the younger players at his position in the league. Like, what would you give up? Like right now, if they were going to acquire Adley Rutschman, what would you offer?
That's a tough question because honestly, I would have to look at our farm system.
Would you trade Aiden Miller for Adley Rutschman?
Maybe. Definitely not Justin Crawford, but maybe Aiden Miller. But anyway, that's unfortunately all the time I really have today because I do have to get going. I got work stuff I got to do. But yeah.
All right. Well, I got one last question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you smell? No, I'm just kidding.
If you smell,
I was going to mute you for a second. Adley Rutschman, would you trade Bryson Stott and Aiden Miller for Adley Rutschman? That's a trade that makes sense, and I feel like that's the type of trade it would have to be.
No, because then I would give up one or the other. But then who the hell's going to play second base?
Dude, I mean that's like maybe the most expendable position in the entire field besides like left field.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I give up Stott for Rutschman and call up Aiden
Stott's
Miller.
not good, bro. Stott's getting.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I would give
Stott.
him
Like, let me think of a rant. Like, is the Philadelphia thing before we get out of here? Like, Stott would be like around the league. Stott is like. I can't even think of a
Buddy Hield.
Not. I mean, yeah. I guess so. I'm trying to think of a baseball player that's comparable. That's just like.
I'm thinking of an NBA comp, and I'm going Buddy Hield. Nah. I would have to think of a defensive player. I would say.
Who's a baseball player that's like?
I would say Matisse Thybulle, actually. Prime Matisse Thybulle comparative to Bryson Stott. That's what I'm going with. Thybulle, lock it in. Or maybe Tayshaun Prince.
Dude, Tayshaun Prince was fire. That's like this.
Yeah, defensively, but offensively, he didn't really have a bag like that.
Matisse Thybulle.
Tayshaun Prince. Yeah.
All right. What if the Phillies say screw it? We're going with all the old heads and we're running it up. Like we're bringing Paul Goldschmidt in. We're bringing the two Cardinals in. We're bringing Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and who's another old?
I would jump off a bridge. Like I said after the season ended.
Traded for a Aroldis Chapman.
Don't acquire any more aging talent. We need a young refresh. I would not like that at all. I would not be happy with that decision.
All right. Well, you heard it from the man himself. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 123 of the Paisan Sports Podcast. Hopefully, when we hop back on, we'll be celebrating sweeping those Dallas Cowboys for second straight year in a row. When was the last time the Eagles have done that?
No idea. No fucking
Been quite some time. So, Eagles Cowboys week doesn't hit the same when the
Well,
Cowboys are after. The Eagles are
here's the
like the
thing
best team in the league.
here's the thing real quick before we get out of here. Sunday's a big day, man. Sunday you got and it all flows into the next. You got the Sixers at 1:00. Then you got Eagles Cowboys at 4:25, and then at 7:45 you have a Philadelphia Union playoff game against New York City. So big day for Philly sports on Sunday.
Name 3 players on the Union team.
Well, you got my guy. What the heck? Well, you got Wagner.
I hear a lot of. I've heard more us than people's
You
names
got
so
Wagner.
far.
You got Wagner, man. He's
Oh,
actually good.
man.
I'm trying to think.
Yo, honestly,
I'm trying to think of the Argentinian guy.
No. Wagner, Jones, Brown, and Johnson. Those are the Jones,
No,
Brown,
but
and
seriously,
Johnson.
Wagner's really. I'm trying to think of. There's an Argentinian player on that team that I do really like, but I forget his name. And then I forget the goalie's name, who's also really good.
No, you honestly, I'm going to start shutting you down because I've been actually watching hockey, and I think it's disrespectful that hockey doesn't get talked about as much as the Union do. Like, Flyers need to be mentioned way more than the Union do on this podcast.
All right, well,
we're
listen, anyway, we're out of time, but we can dive into that
All right,
next.
but thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, Tyrese Maxey drops 2 more 50 balls by the time we get onto this podcast again. Maybe Joel will be back on the court. We'll figure out what the Phillies are doing in the offseason, and the Eagles will be getting to 9-2. And the Eagles put the Cowboys down this week, and I think the NFC East might be a game or 2 off the NFC East being wrapped up. So we'll see if the Eagles can do that. But thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms. Peace.